Alex Lightman, the CEO of Token Communities. Alex is currently an advisor to over 20 blockchain, cryptocurrency, and crypto commodities companies. Let's all welcome Alex.
Thank you. Hello. Nice to see you. Okay, great. So, can you put the slides up? And I guess you can start the downtown, the clock timer. Also, I have 20 minutes. It says 15. Okay, great. So, hello. I'm Alex Lightman. Some of you know me. One of the things I love about D10E is to be the ability to come and see friends who, in some cases, I live in the same building as, but I only see them at D10E, like Craig Sellers, or who live in the next city, like John Sutton, but I only see him at D10E. So, I'm going to talk about building new economies, Web 3.0 cities, and countries. And my company, Token Communities, is an advisor to ICOs and also has an incubator where we create companies that will work with the blockchain. And we also incorporate companies, do financial projections, things like that. So these are Web 2.0 apps. You look at the browser, you look at Chrome, you look at Dropbox. All of these have Web 3.0 distributed application equivalents. And so what we're going to see is this business of $3 trillion worth of market cap is going to have something called value migration. I highly recommend going onto Amazon and getting the book Value Migration and looking at it. And you look at a company that has a market cap that's up here, and then another company's down here, and all of a sudden they change places. This is going to happen with most of the centralized applications going to distributed applications. There's an article that got 27,000 claps on Medium, which is a lot, on attributes of Web 3.0 dApps. No central point of control, user ownership of the data, and it's worth pointing out this one. This is the key one right here. I had a meeting with Union Bank of Switzerland, and they said that the best business model in the world, the best business model to try to beat is Google's, because Google gives apps that take all your data and then they sell it promiscuously to anyone that they want to. And somebody that allows you to keep some of your data and profit in part from it. You don't have to have half of it or anything, but some part of it that the users, rather than zero, will take away a lot of money from Google. I'm working on a deal right now, a $700 million deal to acquire control of a search engine that's been around for a while that works better with blockchain, mobile, local questions, and I have a way of getting it onto 1 billion mobile phones. So if that works out, then this will be a big push in that direction. Also, a dramatic reduction of hacks and data breaches. For the first time in my life, last week, I was hacked, and I had, after I reported it to Binance, I actually still had 6 Bitcoin stolen from my account, which is really annoying, but it makes me realize from going through all of the recovery processes how primitive the security system is today. And two-factor authentication is actually not a defense against a SIM swap attack. Interoperability, many devices working from day one, permissionless blockchains that can't be prohibited, uninterrupted service, and this is one that I added to the list because it seemed like it was missing. Useful not only for corporations, but also for charities and cities and countries. Every city should have its own blockchain or multiple blockchain, every country, every charity too. So we imagine that large countries and companies and economies are like giant trees. They're seemingly timeless and with longer lives than the average human being. So we think of them as being, these things that just are there forever. But in fact, we need new economies because it's very easy to burn them down. And it's very easy for things to catch on fire and be gone. So whatever the old economy was, it's going to be burned down faster and faster. Is there any way to move this timer from being on my slides? Because I can't, it actually obscures my slides. Can you move it on the screen? That's a question for the guys in the back. So here's my thought. The ultimate purpose of the blockchain is to maximize government and corporate legitimacy and human-machine intelligence and minimize the latency of achieving consensus. Legitimacy is generated by doing 3 things out of 3. You can't miss one. Doing this consistently. Seek the truth, speak the truth, and practice what you preach. Latency is like delay. It's like a syntax on bad architecture and infrastructure. It's a measure in milliseconds of how many hops or errors and inadequate computing there is. And this is why self-driving cars are so it's so difficult to get this right because you can't have cars that are all learning based on something that's all done locally, but you have too much latency to do things like, for instance, someone just pops up in the middle of the road with a shopping cart, jump out of the way. So I'm hoping this next section is very interesting and fun for you. Why crypto is predictable and desirable and it'll be universal. So cryptocurrency is based on cryptography. Cryptography is based on math, including and especially game theory. The crypto industry is the real-world manifestation of game theory, which is taught in university, and gamer theory from a guy named Mackenzie Wark. Anyone heard or read the book Gamer Theory with an R in the end? No? I highly recommend that you get the book Gamer Theory. And the basic idea is that there's no more the citizen or the user, all these things. We're all gamers. That this world around us has become game space, and that we're trapped or placed in a series of games moving from one to the next. So all these things are gamified. And in fact, this industry is the most gamified industry. If it looks like, because the SEC was kind of joking about the Howie coin and, oh, this is what a scam looks like. No, it's what a game looks like. And people still haven't caught on to that idea. But once you realize that you're all gamers, we're all gamers, and we're all playing a game, and we happen to be playing it better than people who are not in the crypto industry, you suddenly play it differently. So people get bored with games that are too hard or games that are too easy. And there has to be a growing quality, a growing quantity and quality and variety of games and of gamers to do it. And the only industry that can really provide an endless profusion of games that people can calibrate to their level of complexity and level of skill is the crypto industry. So I'm going to now talk about what the drivers were in the past, what they are now, and what they will be in the near future and the far future. So from January 4th, 2009, which is the date of origin of our industry, the crypto industry, total crypto value went from $0 to $17.7 billion in value. It's easy to remember, 2017, 17.7. Now, what was driving it? In the beginning, the very beginning, it was novelty. It was something new, and it grew out of this business in Santa Monica that's now called Opskins, which did a token offering called Wax, which basically figured out how to tokenize gamer-created content and then sell that. And this predates actual business of crypto by more than a decade. But this is where Brock Pierce came from. He and Steve Bannon bought this original company that was created by the guy who went on to create Opskins. Game trading items in skin. These guys at Opskins do $2 billion a year, and they have millions of tokenized items, and they get a lot of sales to China. People are buying items in China for up to $40,000 and then selling them. So this is actually a way of moving money out of China without the government having a problem with it. Drugs, we have this idea that drugs are still in the past. Drugs are still in the present, still using Bitcoin in the blockchain. Money laundering still is very big. In fact, it's probably over 50% of all of the cryptocurrency trading in India is related to money laundering. I don't think all money laundering in the case of India is bad because in many cases people had their money canceled. The government broke their agreement with the people. And speculation and millions of press articles after 100 million % return on Bitcoin. So there basically is something that you have, if you have something with security that has never been broken, the Bitcoin blockchain has never been broken by hackers. People have had their Bitcoin stolen, like I have, but the blockchain itself hasn't been hacked. So if you have the best security ever and you have the best financial return anyone's ever heard of, you're going to have something that becomes like a flame to a moth that will attract lots and lots of people. So this is the early driver up until January last year. The drivers of cryptocurrency now. Total crypto market cap rose from 17.7 billion to over 800 billion in late 2017 to right now it's about 405 billion. So we're almost exactly at half peak valuation. Now, where did this money come from? How did it go from 17 to 800? Well, only 200 million came from VCs. So the VCs have shown that they're not able to keep up with this. The VCs are too slow. They're not able to keep up with the gaming and the novelty aspect because they're used to being in charge. They're not used to having decentralized funding like this. Between 4 and 5 billion came from ICOs. Now you see these numbers like 4.4 billion, but even within companies like that I've been an advisor to, they get their Ethereum or they get their Bitcoin and it's one value, and values change so much that you really, depends on what day you're counting. So I know people who raised 10 million, but it became 20 million. So which do you count, the 10 million or the 20 million? But 44 billion came from forks and airdrops. Who knew that forks and airdrops were 11 times as much as VC and ICOs put together? Anybody here know that? One person. Anybody else? Two. Okay, so this is a big deal. So this is the source. This is not something that is security or utility. It's just a whole different way of raising money that people don't realize. So even when we're in the industry, things are happening that we don't notice because we don't know how to measure it. Also, what's been happening is a massive entry by family offices in Wall Street that's been going on the last few months. So I've been asked to do a number of trades, like can you handle $100,000 Bitcoins or a sale or something like that. And what I know is that 2 months ago, you could buy spot minus 12%. If you wanted to get that, sell it, people would sell it. Now, there's so many exchanges where people have bought that it's very difficult to find the sellers who will sell at, the most I've heard of lately is 5%, but most of these are now 2%. So what's been happening is that as of last year, 85% of all of the cryptocurrency value is held by individuals, and only 15% by institutions, by companies, trusts, all these things. And so what's been happening is they're going, how do we go and get more of it? So there's been this concerted plot to try to hold back the price of crypto so that they can do all these off-market trades. That's about to change. This becomes the new drivers. The next drivers from June, from next month to 7 years from now, the total crypto market's going to rise from 405 billion to over 5 trillion. And there'll be over 100 billion a year from forks and airdrops, and over 100 billion a year from security token offerings. And every government will have turned its fiat into crypto by then. Now, you go, well, they haven't decided that in the US. Actually, they have. They have decided at the US to turn the US petrodollar into the crypto dollar. This decision has already been made. Facebook is basically will increase the number of crypto holders from 25 million today, about today, by 4,000% to 2 billion. And Google will use utility tokens for machine learning, and humanoid robots and self-driving cars will be programmed to go out and want to make money. They'll be programmed to be capitalists and want to do that. So this is going to drive crypto. Now, want to hear what happens between 2025 and 2050? And by the way, I should say, as far as I know, I'm the world's most accurate futurist in terms of what I published in my articles and books. I published over 3,000 pages about the future of technology and government and money, and I don't think I've had any mistakes. So, longer-term drivers. Total crypto market will rise from 5 trillion to 25 trillion, and you're going to have tokens to dispose of your garbage. You're going to have tokens to deal with your pollution. Tokens will be linked to biomarkers for health and anti-aging, or you won't get medical care and you won't get health insurance. Most smart cities outside of China will have their own tokens to access municipal infrastructure. China will not allow a different municipal currency. They told me to tell you that because I've been talking with people at very high levels. But other countries, there will be different municipal tokens for each city. There'll be an ICO for each city. And there'll be a collapse of the fossil fuel economy and the petrodollar by 2030 due to the self-driving electric cars. They're going to crash the car market from 75 million cars a year to 7.5 million cars a year, more or less. They'll all be self-driving electric cars. All currencies, stocks, bonds, minerals, commodities, real estate, and digital assets will all be tokenized and have their own individual numbers. Okay, so why do you need to have a token for your trash? There's too much trash. This is people in 7 days. This is a partial view of this family and how much garbage they're producing. And this woman here smoking a cigarette, it's how much trash that she produces in a week. We're producing too much, and so you're going to basically have to buy tokens to dispose of your trash. And the fiat dollar in the United States is based on the petrodollar. The petrodollar is based on oil. Look at what we're spending on healthcare, $14,000 per person per year on healthcare. Fossil fuels are carcinogens. They cause cancer. We have 1.6 million cancer diagnoses in the US with 600,000 cancer fatalities. And 6 million cancer diagnoses in China, but my own research indicates that that's undercounted by probably at least 50%. It's more like 9 million a year. About a third of US healthcare costs are from burning fossil fuels. That was a number from Forbes magazine. It's probably over $1 trillion now. and 30 to 40% of deaths are indirectly from pollution worldwide. A safe level with stable climate of carbon dioxide is 350 parts per million. It's now at 410 to 420 parts per million, which we haven't seen on this planet for over 3 million years, since the Pliocene, when Eohippus, the early horse, was running around. And if public fossil fuel companies burn what's on their balance sheets, we're going to hit over 600 parts per million, and the temperatures are going to go up 6 degrees centigrade. I wrote a whole book on food security. There'll be massive crop failures, massive starvation, and an increasing number of failed states. And Lester Brown, who has written 50 books, has asked the most important question of our time, which is, how many failed states before you have the failed civilization? And I would say not too many more than we have right now. So there are more reasons to have the crypto replace the petrodollar. Extreme weather. I just pick one super typhoon, Haiyan. Imagine a city, basically a tornado over Malta for 4.5 hours. It just rotated around at over 100 kilometers an hour, over and over for more than 4 hours. It killed over 10,000 people, and it destroyed over 600,000 people's homes. I had 5 hours during the Queen's birthday celebration. I get invited to lots of things in London, where I live now. I had 5 hours with Inga Beale, who's probably the most powerful female executive in the world. She's the first female executive to be the CEO of Lloyd's of London in 330 years. And she basically is the ultimate insurer around the planet. It's more like, it's kind of half company, half government. It's not really a company, it's a society. And I was talking to her about these things, and she was kind of shocked about what the statistics say. And there'll be rising sea levels that flood coastal cities where 3/4 of humans live. These seas look very nice here, but Malta could be, where the people live, could be underwater. So you could have over 6 billion people who are losing their housing by 2025, 2030 or so. There's no way that we can afford to rebuild 6 billion houses. So New York City becomes New Hydro City. New York City would be underwater. And we have this saying, you say, well, how much of Earth is water? Actually, it's only 0.6% water. So if you basically took all the water in the world and you rolled it up into a ball, that's how big the ball would be. And if you took all the atmosphere of the world and you rolled it up into a ball, that's how big the ball would be. So you're going to have tokens to put out pollution, because we're going to have to limit this thing. And this is one of the wonderful things about tokens, is it can change behavior. How many people here have seen the Google presentation, The Selfish Ledger? Anybody? Highly recommend you see that. So the core of that is that Google has lied once again and said, oh yeah, that's just some thought piece. Actually, I just posted on Facebook, and you're welcome to friend me, that in fact Google has been making patent applications starting back in 2015, saying that they want to encourage changes in behavior through and human error, basically through software. But this is the vital stuff. So this industry is the industry that's going to save the world. Part of it's going to be from electric cars. And electric cars are coming from all these manufacturers. In 2018, anybody know how many electric cars were on the market? 2008. Anyone know how many were on the market? Oh shit, I'm just giving you the answer. Sorry. That's 4. Okay, anyone know how many there are now? Like, my hand is out of my control. It's like the devil's hand. Ah! So, and then, sorry? Nails. So it's my nails. Hello there. Yeah, my girlfriend made me do it. So anybody know how many electric cars there are now on the market? 4, how many? 4 million? No, I meant models. There are four models. There are 54. So we've gone in 10 years from 4 to 54. Now, these are going to be the norm. And this is driving up huge demand for lithium and cobalts and rare earths. So my time is limited. I normally have 30 minutes. And I got 20 today. So I can't go and do the whole thing, but I'll just give you a sense of it. So the new economies need smart green cities. Smart green cities need self-driving electric vehicles. Why? Because each self-driving electric vehicle can replace 15 internal combustion engines, and you're basically going to have to buy tokens to put out carbon and other kinds of pollution. Self-driving electric vehicles need batteries need battery metals, and the miners of battery metals need more decentralized sources of funding. So one of the weakest thing of all of crypto is this. All cryptocurrencies are backed by nothing, can all go to zero tomorrow. How many people have heard someone say this? Okay, how many have never heard someone say that? 1, 2. Raise your hand, please. I want to see this. Only one person in this whole room? Wow, 2 people. Okay, so this is not something that we can accept as an industry. So what I've been doing is working with our incubator at Token Communities to create something called the Blockchain Commodities Exchange, which are doing crypto commodities. That's not the same, not everything crypto is a cryptocurrency, and that are based on royalties of working mines. And in some cases, the purchasers of these tokens will be able to get physical delivery of the commodities, but they have to have a certain threshold. They have to be an industrial quantity. But this is the kind of thing that I want to sell to Elon Musk, because Elon Musk does not have enough cobalt to make all the electric cars that he says he's going to make at Tesla to get his $55 billion compensation program. And if you think I'm joking about that, there are articles about it you can read. So we're going to be doing these offerings of cobalt, lithium, spherical graphite, gold, and silver in the next few months. And then cobalt, you may wonder, like if we were stuck in this room and we had to come up with, let's say, 10 kilos of cobalt, we could actually probably do it. Because look at how much is in each laptop and each smartphone and so on. There's plenty of it in each Tesla. You can see that Tesla really needs a lot of cobalt. I have a big section on this kind of stuff. By the way, I have 5 more minutes than this clock shows. So we're working on a tokenized mining platform for doing all this that has all the stuff that you would want to have in a good exchange. And this is the basic diagram of how we're setting it up. So to make all this stuff happen, we have an incubator in London, and these are the companies that we have created so far that I'll be talking about in the future. Okay, thank you very much for your time.